Hello again, everyone. Welcome back. In this technical analysis of the stock market video, I call it Friday Bailout. And the question in my mind is, do we have more to come? The markets, the major indices, pretty much the S&P and the NASDAQ, Friday bailed out the week. And they were all negative going into Friday. And then like on the S&P 500, it turned around and closed up 20 for the week. And the NASDAQ 100 up 258 points. The Dow was still down 100 points at the close, but you could see it came back quite a bit from the low during the week. So this is the side-by-side picture. I would say the S&P and the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ looks the strongest. The S&P is in second place, I guess, the second strongest of the three in terms of the way it acted this last week. Let's take a look at the SPY. So here's that weekly view on the S&P again, and then here's the daily view. Going into Friday, the SPY was down about 3 points because you can see we were up 5.04 on Friday alone and only ended up 2.06 for the week. The interesting thing when you look at this daily chart, and I'm going to move this over a little bit more, this trend line is a trend line all the way back to from October of last year. Now, we broke this trend line this last week pretty substantially. We did it very slightly on the 27th, just intraday. But then look at the move that happened on Tuesday, okay? And then we're just hugging that trend line Wednesday and Thursday. And I thought, well, are we going to continue to head south and break down? And then all of a sudden we get this kind of move on Friday, closing back above the 10-day moving average for the first time since September 14th. So I'm seeing several indicators, several other things that are saying for the first time since mid-September. So I'm really curious watching, are we getting a turn in here? Do we have support coming in? I'm going to tell you where I think the Elliott Wave picture, what I think it's telling us on the preferred count, and then where I'm going to move to the alternate count and where I think the alternate count could be wrong. So this to me is really critical. If we break this trend line that's occurring here on the RSI and we close above that trend line here, and most likely if we are, we're going to do it in the next couple of days, I'm going to be moving to the alternate count. So let's talk about the primary count that we've been working. So the primary count is the count we've had for a long time. Basically the bearish view, the bigger bearish view says 1 down, 2 back, and we're in intermediate wave 3 to the downside. And then when you look at where are we within intermediate wave 3, we are working the first little 5 waves of minor 1. So this is going to be minor 1, then we're going to get minor 2 and work our way down 5 waves for intermediate wave 3. So that's where we are with this wave count right now. And then I don't think that this new wave 3 has finished yet. So if I drill down and take a look at this, here's what I think is happening in here. I think we've got a flat going on for wave 4. Now, and so we had a sharp zigzag deep pullback for wave 2, and I'm talking about minuet level, okay? So we're talking about the 5 degrees, 5 waves within minute wave 3. 1, 2, 3, classic 3, where you're getting just straight line movement, gaps, just dropping like a stone, okay? Classic wave 3. And then what are we doing for wave 4? It looks like we are alternating with wave 2. Sharp pullback, looks like sideways, flat type of pattern in here. So we're getting an A, B, C, should be 3, 3, 5. Now, I don't see a 5 wave move completed yet. So I see like 1, 2, 3. I expect maybe a few more gyrations. If this wave count is playing out, we're going to get a wave 4 and then one final little push up in here. So my target would be for completion, probably up around 138.2% of, C versus A. And I'm talking about this comparison right here versus A. Sometimes they end right here at the top of wave A. But we'll see what we get here over the next, again, this is a 130-minute time frame, so that's 3 bars to a day. So we're talking about the next couple of days. I think we're going to get some kind of confirmation on this. Is this working out? Okay, so let's go back to that daily view. So if I get a break above this trend line, I'm going to be taking a real hard look at this alternate count that says, okay, we're getting support in here. This looks like we are still trying to do this bigger picture that says instead of 1, 2, we've got a big 3-wave A and then a 3-wave B for primary B. Then we're going to get a strong 5-wave move down for primary C. But right now, what this looks like, again, when we move to this, looking for this to continue to push up in here in a 5th wave. It could be an ending diagonal pattern. It could just be a pure impulse pattern. We'll see what we get. Now, where is this wrong? This is wrong. This goes away in my mind. If this continues to, let's say we break down like I talked about over here in this scenario, that we go just a little bit further and then we come back down like this, okay? So if we go below this dashed line here, 418.31, that means wave 4 would be overlapping wave 1. And that, in this count that I've got, this labeling, that ain't happening, okay? And right now, the way I've got this labeled, this is ABC, a big C wave, nice big extended 5-wave move. It's impulse pattern. It's not an ending diagonal, okay? And so if we overlap, then I'll go away from this pattern and say, okay, we're sticking with the preferred count that we're currently in. So we're a little bit kind of in between. I got a feeling this week is going to really put the nail in the pattern. I think it's just going to finalize which way are we really leaning in here right now. And let's take a look at a couple of our indicators. Okay, the VIX made a pretty strong move during the week, going up intraday, getting above the 20 level, just like it did back over here. They actually closed slightly above it in early May, but basically for all intents and purposes right on the 20 level, and then did it again in late May in terms of breaking above it. Couldn't hold it, just like what happened here on Tuesday and Wednesday, breaking above it, couldn't hold it, and now all of a sudden we're back down and we're closing below the 10-day moving average. Now we haven't been below the 10-day moving average since right here, September 15th, okay? So that's the last time, so mid-September. Now we're going to take a look at the percent of stocks above their 50-day moving average. We're closing above the 10-day moving average for the first time since right here, September 14th. We're at 17.1% of the 500 stocks. 17.1% of them are above their 50-day moving average. So we got pretty low down here when you get down below 10. You don't do that very often. As a matter of fact, when was the last time? That major bottom that we put in October of last year. Okay, so we've got something very similar now. And so the real question again, this coming week, are we going to see continuation and a turn and a move back higher in here? I think we're going to find out. And notice how on the divergence on the RSI, it looks like we're getting some divergence in here with this last move in here, not confirming this move. Okay, so that's an interesting picture there. Let's take a look at Apple. Okay, Apple on Friday was up $2.58. Look at this move that's happened this last week in here. Okay, so here's Monday, Tuesday, pause day, kind of a resumption back up in here, getting back above the 10-day moving average. So 4 out of the last 5 days have closed above the 10-day moving average in here. And it looks like it's trying to turn. Look at the divergence on the RSI. Okay, now I'm looking at this and I'm thinking this looks like it wants to flip to the upside, but I'm not thinking that it's going to go much above this level. So, and I don't even know if it's going to get to 190, but it looks to me that if it continues to push, that would be my target up here around 190, because this, to me right now, when I look at this from an Elliott Wave perspective, this looks like 5 waves, 3 waves, 3 waves. My expectation that would be a 5 wave for a flat. So that would then be a wave 2. So that means it would be something like 1, 2, and then come back down. Okay, so this could get kind of interesting short-term wise, but it's not turning me into a longer-term bull on Apple at this point. It's just a small counter trend type setup is the way it's looking right now. Let's take a look at Alibaba. So Alibaba was up $2.39 on Friday. So this has been a little bit erratic. Now it's interesting, you know, China's been on their Golden Week holiday for the entire last week. The markets over there in China were all closed. I know this has been trading here in the United States. But we got a little bit of divergence right here on the RSI. And here's this trend line that it looks like it is trying to break to the upside. So what is the picture here on Alibaba? This looks to me like a possible head and shoulders pattern. Again, I'm in a daily chart, and I'm talking about over the last, 7 months, 6, 7 months for this. But then when you back out and look at the bigger picture, this looks like an even bigger bottom going on, and this looks like the right shoulder. So what I'm talking about is this. This kind of move right here. So this will be really interesting. The first thing we got to do is have this head and shoulders pattern break above this neckline, make a move towards this bigger trend line, neckline, and then, you know, it could really, the implications of this, if we really get the breakout, is measuring this head and projecting from wherever it breaks out, which could be a pretty big move. Well, you know, first things first, you got to first get this thing to start to turn. We'll see if that's about to happen or not. It's interesting. We got a close above the 10-day moving average, but that happened a few days ago back over here on the 22nd, and we didn't get any follow through. So we'll see if we're going to get something. It kind of looks a little bit wedgy here on the Alibaba. So we'll see if we get this thing to start to turn and move to the upside. Those were a couple that I saw kind of interesting here at the end of the week. If you felt like the video was helpful, give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber to the YouTube channel, hit that little subscriber button. And if you'd like more of this information on a regular basis, head on over to joehenches.net, check out the website, and check out the membership. Everyone, have a great week. We'll talk to you on the next video.